Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial. It took me some time. The construction is similar to the top Ellie's, but this time we're gonna have long sleeves and a bit more length. It is still in one block and no sewing. Rather, sewing is during the construction. And we're going to have ribbing cuffs. As usual, you can use any material you want, any crochet size, and any yarn. For this model, I used a macrame yarn, which is not ideal to make clothing, but as it is thick, it was really fast to work with. And most importantly, as it is cotton, it is natural. But this cardigan is thus very heavy. As for the octagon shirt, the adding of this rectangle at the back adds some extra length to the cardigan. You can change the speed of the video in the settings if needed. We still start at the top with the wingspan, and we are going to add some rows to make the first half of the sleeves, with the ribbing cuffs directly at each side. Then we are going to add a rectangle corresponding to the desired width of the garment, from one armpit to the other, and the height of the desired extra length. For the upcoming rows, we are going to add corners, 2 on each side, having a total of 4, and thus having 5 sides, just like for the Ellie's Bolero top tutorial. Then here in red is the path of each row on the second half of the construction. You can use any hook size. I'm going to use this 6mm. And I'm going to use those yarns. In reality, I used 3 grays, around 1 kilogram in total. We are going to need stitch markers, scissors, tape measure, and a notepad, and a tapestry needle. We start with a slip knot. And we are going to make chain stitches and make a foundation chain of the length of the desired wingspan. I'm going to make a size M, 69 multiplied by 2. I have around 140 centimeters. Then chain 1 and single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Then continue with 5 single crochet in the 5 next stitches. I have a total of 6 single crochets then. And this is going to be the thickness of my cuff. So you can make as much as you want. Then chain 1 and skip 1 stitch, then double crochet in the next stitch. And again, chain 1, skip 1 stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. And that is the pattern for the mesh row. After the last double crochet, we need to have at least 7 stitches to make the skip 1 stitch and the 6 single crochets, as it needs to be symmetrical to the beginning of the row. And I have 8 stitches left. I skip 1 stitch and make the 6 single crochets. And I'm going to leave the last chain of the foundation chain there. It is not disturbing. Now we're going to fold this first row and count the stitches to find the middle one. That center can be on a chain stitch or beneath a double crochet, but I put the stitch marker on the foundation chain. Now we are going to mark the limits of the neckline. It needs to be symmetrical. I'll just put the stitch marker in the mesh hole. You can measure it from the center if you need it to be precise. Then from the center, I'm going to measure half of the width. For me, it would be 25 centimeters. So normally this would be this double crochet here, but I'm going to count the hole from the nearest neckline limit and making sure it is an even number. Here I have 11, so I'm going to add a hole and shift it to the next double crochet so that I have 12 mesh holes. I'm going to count 12 on the other side too and mark the stitch beneath the double crochet. So according to the width you want for the garment, your stitch markers can be at different spots. I'm going to check the width and I'm good. I'm at 51 centimeters. Now I'm going to note the number 12 that we counted because that is the number of rows we're going to make. So I flip the work to make the next row. I begin with a chain 1 and then we're going to work on the back loops and make a back loop single crochet in the first stitch. So we only work in the furthest strand and we continue to have 6 back loop single crochets or more if you have thicker cuffs. Just work the same number of single crochets as on the first row, and each beginning and end of rows will be the same with the back loop single crochets. Then we're going to work a double crochet in each stitch for this row. The first one is in the chain 1 space, then in the stitch of the double crochet of the previous row. And you continue like that with a double crochet in each stitch. For the solid row, the first row being a mesh row, this is the pattern we are going to repeat throughout the whole work, alternating mesh and solid rows. So here is the last double crochet of the row in the chain 1 space, and then we continue with the 6 back loop single crochets. So as I said, we are going to alternate mesh and solid row. So we are going to make a mesh row. The beginning is the same, chain 1, then 6 back loop single crochets. Then, just like the first row, chain 1, skip 1 stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. Then repeat until the end of the row. Just don't forget that on the mesh row, the last stitch before the single crochet at the end of the row is a chain 1. And it comes with a skip 1 stitch, of course. After this mesh row, we are going to make a solid row and keep on alternating until we have 12 rows. It can be a different number, but it needs to be even. I finished my 12 rows and I secured my loop with a stitch marker. And now I'm going to prepare 2 stitch markers and we are going to mark the center of the armpits here on the last row. Align them correctly. Flip the work so that your working yarn is on the right. In the classical construction, like for the top Alice, the same number of rows is added on the second part, and the length is just doubled. But in this case, we are going to add an extra length. For now, we have 20 centimeters of height. It can be different for you. Then if I add the same number of rows, I'm going to have 40 centimeters in total for the regular construction. But I want my cardigan to be longer. I want to have 50 centimeters height. How do we do that? The subtraction is simple. We just need to add 10 centimeters. And that will be the extra length of the rectangle we're going to add. So how many rows are in 10 centimeters? It's equal to about 6 rows. That means I'm going to make 6 additional rows to have the right height for the rectangle, as we saw in the theoretical part. And as I'm sure you have guessed, this number needs to be even. Don't cut this yarn because we're going to continue there for the second part. We are going to use another skein, a new spool in my case. So make a slip knot with a new yarn. Make sure we are on the right side, and let's work in the first marker. Double crochet in the marked stitch, and we are going to make a mesh row. Then chain 1 and skip 1 stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. You already know all of this, and continue the mesh pattern until you reach the next marker. And last double crochet in the marked stitch. And we have finished the first mesh row. And then we flip, and we're going to make a solid row. There are different ways to make the first double crochet of the row, and you can use any of them. For me, I pull the first loop long enough and twist it once. Then insert the hook in the first stitch and pull up a loop, then yarn over, then pull through the small loop, then behind the big loop, then yarn over and pull through the 2 remaining loops. And we have the first double crochet. Then continue with 1 double crochet in each stitch for the whole row. We finished the solid row, then we flip. And as you guessed, mesh row. And I used the same method for the first double crochet. Then continue the mesh pattern. I'm on the last double crochet, and the stitch of the first double crochet of the previous row is beneath the little drop formed by the front and back loops. It's quite obvious, so don't worry. And I have 3 rows left to have my 6 rows. When I have the required number of rows, I can cut my yarn, chain 1, and pull to secure. You can remove the stitch markers or leave them there, it's up to you. So we're going to have this length to be added to the cardigan in addition to the 12 rows of the second part. So we're going to continue where we left off. The cuff is still the same, chain 1 and back loop single crochets. And we're going to make the mesh pattern until we reach the rectangle. As usual, we are going to have 2 corners, one on the armpit area and one up here. So let's make the first corner. The corner will be exactly where we had the stitch marker, in which we have the first double crochet of the rectangle. So mesh pattern, chain 1 and double crochet in that stitch. Then to turn the corner, chain 3. Then make a second double crochet in the same stitch. I say second, but in reality, there are 3 double crochets in the same stitch, counting the one of the rectangle. We continue the mesh pattern on the next side, chain 1 and double crochet on top of the double crochet of the first row of the rectangle. Then repeat chain 1, and double crochet on top of the double crochet of the second row, and so on until the end of this side, until we reach the next corner. So here is the last double crochet on top of the last row of the rectangle, and we're going to make the same corner as the first one here. We're going to make 3 chain stitches and then a second double crochet in the same stitch. And that is how we make the corners on the mesh rows. So now you crochet on the third side and so on. Here I am on the fourth corner, chain 1 and double crochet in the same stitch as the base of the rectangle. Then chain 3 and the second double crochet in the same stitch. Having 3 double crochets in the same stitch in total. Then continue as usual. I began the next solid row as usual, and I'm going to show you how to make the corner. In the chain 3 corner space of the previous row, we are going to make 3 double crochets. Then chain 1 and 3 double crochets. So in total, there are 6 double crochets in the chain 3 corner space. And for the next mesh row, the 2 double crochets of the corner will be made in this chain 1 space here. Same as the lower row, we're going to make a little square here. And we continue. Double crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet in each stitch until we reach the next corner, in which we're going to make 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets. It's starting to take shape. Each side will grow as follows: the front panel, the sleeve, and the length. So I'm on the next mesh row, and I'm going to show you how to make the corner. Double crochet in the chain 1 space, then chain 3, and a second double crochet in the same space. We are going to make the same number of rows as in the first half of the work. That would be 12 for me, but I'm going to stop at 11 because the connection will be made on the 12th. And as you can see, the folding is super easy. You just need to bring the front panel inwards. Here I have my 11 rows, and I'm going to make the assembly on a solid row. And we're going to start to connect the cuff. Begin with chain 1, but before making each back loop single crochet, insert the hook in the opposite stitch, meaning in the stitch of the foundation chain. So here I've inserted my hook, and then I'm going to make my back loop single crochet in the first stitch. Here it is. I insert and pull up a loop, then yarn over and finish the single crochet by pulling through all 3 loops. Then repeat, insert the hook in the next stitch on the foundation chain, then make the back loop single crochet. This way, the 2 sides are directly connected, instead of making slip stitches at the end. You can consider those like slip single crochet stitches. And the last single crochet, I pull the loop a little longer not to lose it, and turn the cuff inside out to be on the right side. Put the crochet back in the loop. Pull the yarn to shrink the loop to a normal size. And we're going to make the connection at the same time as the last row, the 12th for me. As it is a solid row, I make the first double crochet in the first stitch, and we're going to connect it to the opposite side by releasing the loop, inserting the hook in the opposite stitch, grabbing back the loop, pulling it through that stitch. We have already seen this technique in my previous tutorials. Then we continue with the next double crochet in the next stitch, release the loop, then insert the hook in the opposite stitch on the foundation chain, then insert the hook back on the loop and pull it through. Then double crochet in the next stitch and so on. Connect each double crochet to the opposite stitch on the foundation chain. I removed the central stitch marker. I'm going to use the neckline stitch markers as landmarks. I arrived at the corner, and as usual, I'm going to make the 3 double crochets, still connected. I finish the 3 double crochets of the corner, then chain 1, and then we continue to crochet the 3 next sides normally. Until we arrive at the beginning of the 5th side, which will be connected. Here you can see the last connection is on the hole just before the stitch marker, which symmetrical is right here. After the first 3 double crochets of the 4th corner, I arrived at the last side. I passed my yarn on the right because we're going to crochet around the neckline. But first we're going to connect with a slip stitch on the same spot as the last connection on the other side. Don't hesitate to directly move your stitch marker where you need to make the connection. I really don't know why I didn't do that. We are going to make a single crochet border. So first single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch. Here we are on the foundation chain. It's quite obvious. So 1 last single crochet in the last space, and we continue directly on the next side in the chain 1 corner space. And we continue with a single crochet in each stitch. I'm showing this as an example, but you can make any type of border you want. In the corner space, I'm going to make a single crochet, chain 1, and then a second single crochet in the same space. And I'm going to do the same thing in the other corner. At the end, I'm going to make my last single crochet around the slip stitch of the first connection, and then a slip stitch in the first single crochet to close the row. I'm gonna pull the loop to make it a little bit longer, to pass it on the other side from beneath, so that we can continue the connection of the second sleeve. And of course, I'm going to pass the yarn too from below. And just like the first sleeve, we continue with the 3 double crochets of the corner. So here's the first one. And we connect at the same spot as the connection, symmetrical to the first one, where I should have put a stitch marker, but didn't. So I'll pull my loop through that stitch, and I continue with the second double crochet in the same corner space. And then I connect to the next stitch on the foundation chain, as we saw previously. And so on, we go with the third double crochet, and so on the fifth side. And of course, I'm going to pass my spool from below to make it easier to crochet. When we arrive at the end, I pull my loop not to lose it, because like for the first sleeve, we are going to crochet the single crochets on the wrong side. I insert my hook back in the loop and pull, and exactly like the first scuff, we insert the hook in the foundation chain first, just beneath the first single crochet. And then back loop single crochet on the side on which we crochet. Insert the hook in order to only have the back loop on the crochet hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through the 3 loops. And repeat. Insert your hook in the next stitch on the foundation chain. Then back loop single crochet. Here is the last one. Finally, chain 1. I cut the yarn and leave a long tail to easily weave it in later. Pull tightly. With the tapestry needle, I'm going to make a knot first. And then weave it in, passing through the single crochets. And we're still on the wrong side here. I'll try to pass in different single crochet rows. Well, thanks a lot to have followed this tutorial until here. Don't hesitate to make feedbacks, to comment if you have questions, to share this video to your crocheter friends, to tag me if ever you want to share your work. Here I put the second sleeve on the right side. As you can see, the connection is quite discreet. and is completely invisible on the cuff. That is the big advantage of working on back loops. I'm going to undo the starting slip knot to remove the extra chain, then pull it tightly to recreate another knot. Thank you again so much to have followed this tutorial. You can follow me on my social medias too for a lot of crochet contents. The written pattern for this cardigan top will be available in the link in the description as soon as it's ready. But there are a lot of other written patterns on my Ko-fi page. I actually don't know if it's Ko-fi or Ko-fi, but I'd be tempted to say coffee. Anyway, happy crochet!